Hello and welcome to this week's elementary school read aloud. I'm Miss Sam and we are going to learn about Jesse Owens today. This book is by Laurie Calkhoven and illustrated by Elizabet Vukovic. So, are you ready to find out more about Jesse Owens? Let's go. Have you ever watched the Olympics and dreamed about winning a gold medal? Have you ever imagined running as fast as the wind or jumping so high that you touch the sky? If so, you should meet Jesse Owens. Jesse Owens had to help support his family when he was a child, so he worked in the cotton fields and shined shoes. But that didn't stop him from following his dream to become an Olympic track and field star. Jesse went to the Olympics in Berlin, Germany in 1936. The German government didn't believe that black people or Jewish people were as good as Germans. That didn't stop Jesse from proving them wrong and winning 4 gold medals. If you like American heroes, then you should meet Jesse Owens. Chapter 1: Alabama Cotton Fields. James Cleveland Owens was born on September 12, 1913, in Oakville, Alabama. He was the youngest of 10 children. His family had very little money. During the winter, cold wind blew through the cracks in the walls of their house. J.C., as his family called him, was often sick. J.C.'s grandparents had been slaves. His own parents were sharecroppers. That meant they lived on another farmer's land and gave that farmer part of their crops as payment. The whole family had to work. When J.C. was 7 years old, he was picking 100 pounds of cotton a day. When he could, he walked the 9 miles to and from the only school for black students. Black children and white children were not allowed to attend school together. J.C.'s sister had moved to Cleveland, Ohio, and told the family that they could have a better life there. Soon the rest of J.C.'s family decided to move to Cleveland as well, where J.C.'s father got a job in a steel mill. 9-year-old J.C. got on a train with his family and rode north. Chapter 2: J.C. becomes Jesse. In Cleveland, J.C. went to school every day for the first time. He was placed in a class with much younger students, first graders. When he was able to show the teacher that he could read and write, she moved him up to the second grade. That same teacher asked J.C. his name on the first day. He answered J.C., but the teacher didn't understand his southern accent and thought he said Jesse. J.C. was shy and didn't correct her. From then on, most of the world called him Jesse. In junior high, Jesse worked in a school repair shop and delivered groceries after school to help his family. But at recess, he loved to run. The school's gym teacher and track coach, Charles Riley, noticed Jesse. The coach asked Jesse if he wanted to join the track team. Jesse said yes. Then Jesse remembered that the team practiced after school. The money Jesse earned was important to his family. He couldn't quit his jobs, so he went back to Mr. Riley and told him he couldn't join the team. Mr. Riley agreed to come to school every morning to work with Jesse. He started getting up an hour early and running to school to practice with his coach. They became such good friends that Jesse started calling him Pop. Coach Riley taught Jesse to run like the track was on fire. That's how Jesse learned what became his famous high-stepping style of running. Coach Riley also brought Jesse to the horse races one day. The horses never looked over their shoulders or from side to side. They ran straight for the finish line. That was how Pop wanted Jesse to run. Pop also introduced Jesse to an Olympic hero, Charlie Paddock, who had won 3 Olympic medals in track and field in 1920 and one in 1924. Jesse began to dream about going to the Olympics. When it was time for Jesse to go to high school, some of Jesse's family wanted him to leave school and go to work. But his mother said that education was important, so he stayed in school. He continued to win races and set world records for his age group. College scouts noticed the high school track star. Many of them wanted Jesse on their teams. Jesse Owens, the grandson of slaves and the son of sharecroppers, became the first person in his family to go to college. Chapter 3: The Buckeye Bullet. Jesse entered Ohio State University in the fall of 1933 and became a member of the Buckeyes, the track and field team that was named after Ohio's official state tree. Jesse knew that life for a black student at Ohio State University could be difficult, but the school was close to his family in Cleveland. Jesse and his girlfriend, Ruth, had had their first child together in 1932. Back then, athletes didn't get scholarships the way they do today to help pay for college tuition. Jesse had to work hard to pay for school. He got a job as an elevator operator in a state office building and also worked at a gas station and in the school cafeteria. He sent money to his parents and to Ruth. In 1933 at Ohio State University, Jesse was not allowed to live on campus because he was black. The black athletes had to wait for their white team members to finish before they could use the showers in the locker room. On trips, the black athletes had to stay in separate hotels and couldn't eat in the same restaurants as their white teammates. Jesse didn't get upset. He concentrated on being the best athlete he could be. With the help of his new coach, Larry Snyder, he got even better at running and jumping. Soon he was beating every other athlete on the track, and he became known at colleges all around the country. Jesse's nickname was the Buckeye Bullet. One Saturday afternoon, the whole country learned Jesse's name. On May 25th, 1935, Jesse took part in a championship meet in Ann Arbor, Michigan. In just 45 minutes, he set 3 world records and tied a fourth, and he did it all with an injury. Jesse had hurt his back. His back was so sore that he needed help getting dressed. Coach Snyder wanted Jesse to sit out the meet, but Jesse wanted to race. Jesse took the field for the 100-yard dash and the pain disappeared. When the starting gun went off, so did Jesse. He crossed the finish line in 9.4 seconds, tying the world record. Minutes later, Jesse tackled the long jump. He raced forward, stepped on the takeoff board, and jumped. When he came down at 26 feet 8 1/4 inches, he had broken the world record by more than half a foot. It would be 25 long years before anyone broke this long jump record. 9 minutes after that, Jesse got into position for the 220-yard dash. He was so fast that he crossed the finish line almost 15 yards ahead of the second place winner. His 20.3-second time broke another world record. But Jesse couldn't celebrate, not yet. He still had to run the 220-yard low hurdles. When the starting gun went off, Jesse flew down the track and jumped over each hurdle ahead of the runners behind him. His time of 22.6 seconds set another world record. Many people still consider this the single greatest day in sports history. But Jesse had bigger dreams. He wanted to go to the Olympics. Everyone thought he was a sure thing to win every event he entered and come home with gold medals. Then Jesse did something shocking. He started to lose races. Chapter 4: Staying on Track. After he broke 3 world records, people from all over the country wanted to see the Buckeye Bullet race. Jesse went on to win the college national championships in California. But then things began to go wrong. Jesse was racing too often and not thinking about what mattered most to him, his family. He didn't take good care of himself. He started to lose events. Jesse realized what he had to do. He went home and asked Ruth to marry him. He also took a break from competing to work at a gas station to support his family. By the time he started competing again the next spring, Jesse was rested and ready to race. In July, he went to the Olympic trials in New York City and easily won his 3 events. Jesse's dream of going to the Olympics was coming true. The 1936 Olympic Games would take place in Berlin, Germany. Some people believe that the United States should boycott the Olympics. Germany's leader, Adolf Hitler, and his Nazi Party thought many groups, including Jewish people and black people, were inferior. The German government had passed laws that forced Jewish people out of many jobs, and the laws made it difficult for Jewish children to go to school. Jesse wondered if he should stay away from the Olympics. In the end, he decided to race and show the Nazis what a black man could do. On July 15, 1936, he boarded the SS Manhattan in New York City to sail to Germany. Hitler might not have liked black people, but the Germans couldn't wait to see Jesse Owens. More than 110,000 people watched from the stands as Jesse took the starting line for the 100-meter sprint. He crossed the finish line in 10.3 seconds. Jesse was the fastest man in the world. Hitler was not happy to see a black American win the race. He never shook Jesse's hand or congratulated him, as was the custom for the leader of the country hosting the Olympic Games. Jesse stayed calm. He had more races to run. The next day was the first round of the long jump competition. Jesse did something very unusual. He fouled his first 2 jumps. His German competitor, Luz Long, showed Jesse where he should start his leap. His advice worked. Jesse and Luz both moved on to the final round and the battle for the gold. Luz took the lead on his second jump, and then Jesse took it back. In the end, Jesse won the gold and set an Olympic record with 26 feet 5 and 5/16 inches. Luz was the first to congratulate his new friend. By the time Jesse entered the stadium the day after the long jump to race the 200 meters, the crowd was chanting his name in their German accents. Jesse Owens! Jesse Owens! It was raining and the track was muddy, but Jesse did what he always did. He ran like the track was on fire and never took his eyes off the finish line. He won his 3rd gold medal. That was supposed to be the end of Jesse's Olympics. Then he found out that the U.S. Olympic coaches wanted to add Jesse and his teammate Ralph Metcalfe to the 4x100-meter relay race. 2 other runners, Marty Glickman and Sam Stoller, were cut from the team. Many people believe that the Germans had asked the Americans to cut the only Jewish athletes on the team. We'll never know for sure, but Jesse agreed to run the relay. He won his 4th gold medal, making him the first track and field star in the United States history to win 4 gold medals at the Olympics. He was an Olympic hero. Chapter 5: An Olympic Hero Comes Home. Jesse came home an Olympic champion, but life for black people in the United States hadn't changed. New York City gave Jesse a ticker tape parade on Broadway, but when Jesse and Ruth went to a fancy dinner in his honor, they had to use the elevator that the waiters and the maids used. When I came back to my native country, after all the stories about Hitler, I couldn't ride in the front of the bus, Jesse said. I had to go to the back door. I couldn't live where I wanted. I wasn't invited to shake hands with Hitler, but I wasn't invited to the White House to shake hands with the president either. Jesse had received many job offers while he was in Germany, but most of those dried up when he got home. He struggled to make a living. He and Ruth eventually had 2 more daughters, and Jesse did what he could for them. At one point, he even raced against horses to earn money. People said it was beneath him, but Jesse pointed out that he had to eat. Change came slowly. In a 1950 Associated Press poll, Jesse was named the greatest track and field athlete of the previous 50 years. The state of Illinois asked him to help promote athletics. He tried to inspire young people the way his coach, Charles Riley, had inspired him. Then Jesse traveled around the world for the U.S. government to promote sports and democracy. In 1976, Jesse was finally invited to the White House. President Gerald R. Ford gave Jesse the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest honor a civilian can achieve. Jesse went on to win many more awards and continued to promote sports in the Olympics until he died in 1980. Jesse never stopped fighting for what he believed in. He never gave up on his dreams, and his passion, determination, and hard work made him a hero. Now that you've met him, don't you think you can do the same? Now we'll learn some new facts. Are you ready? Okay. Historical hurdles. Jesse Owens rose to fame in the face of tragic events at home and abroad. Jim Crow laws from 1877 to 1965. After the Civil War, the Southern United States created laws known as Jim Crow laws. These laws ensured that Black people could not work, live, or learn in the same places as white people. The laws forced Black people to use separate bathrooms, park benches, schools, hospitals, lunch counters, and even water fountains. If Black Americans broke these laws, they faced violence, fines, and imprisonment. The Jim Crow laws began long before Jesse was born and remained in effect until he was more than 50 years old. The Civil Rights Movement finally caused Congress to strike down these laws in 1964 and 1965. The Great Depression from 1929 to 1939. When Jesse was 16 years old, the Great Depression began. It was a time of severe poverty in North America and Europe. In the United States, companies closed, jobs disappeared, banks failed, and millions of families struggled to survive. At one time, there were 15 million people who wanted to work but could not find jobs. This time was particularly hard on Black Americans. Previously, Black people could find employment by taking low-paying jobs that white people would not take. Once the Depression began, white people would take any job available. Even some soup kitchens, places that serve free hot soup and other meals to people who can't afford food, refused to serve Black men, women, and children. While the Great Depression ended when the United States entered World War II, the racism did not. Here are some facts about the Olympics. This year was going to be an Olympic year for Summer Olympics, but they got postponed. So, but here are some facts about the Olympics that can tide you over till the next one. The Olympic Games started in ancient Greece in 776 BCE. That was more than 2,000 years ago. Originally meant to celebrate the athletic abilities of young people, the Games also encouraged friendliness between the cities of Greece. The ancient Olympic Games were held every 4 years while people were gathered for a religious festival. A group of all-male athletes from around the country competed in different events: foot races, the long jump, the discus and javelin throws, wrestling, and chariot racing. The ancient Olympics continued for many centuries until the Russian Emperor Theodosius I banned them in the year 393 CE. The Olympic Games began again more than 1,500 years later in 1896. After a visit to Greece, a French nobleman named Baron Pierre de Coubertin was inspired to hold International Olympic Games. He hoped they would promote physical education around the world. Women competed for the first time at the 1900 Games in Paris. Today, more than 13,000 athletes, male and female, from 204 different countries compete at the Summer and Winter Olympic Games. Athletes compete in 56 different sports and 406 events. The games are held in a different city each time in a special stadium built just for the Olympics. After each event, the world watches as 3 medals are awarded. The athlete who finishes in third place receives the bronze medal. The athlete who finishes in second place receives the silver medal. Finally, the first place winner receives the coveted Olympic gold medal. Out of 13,000 athletes, only a few get to take home the gold. There are 8 running events in track: the 100-meter sprint, the 200-meter sprint, the 400-meter sprint, the 800-meter sprint, the 1500-meter sprint, the marathon, hurdles, and relay. Women and men compete separately. The shortest race is the 100-meter sprint. The longest is a 26.2-mile race, which is called a marathon. It takes the average person about 4.5 hours to run a marathon. The current world record for the fastest marathon is 2 hours, 2 minutes, and 57 seconds. A triathlon is a long race made up of 3 events: swimming, bicycling, and running. A decathlon is a contest made up of 10 events: 3 running races, hurdles, javelin and discus throws, shot put, pole vault, high jump, and long jump. The first recorded Olympic event was a 600-foot long foot race called the Stade. It was the length of the stadium. A lap around today's modern outdoor track is a distance of 400 meters, or about 1,312 feet. Competitive sprinters train 20 hours a week. The average person can jump anywhere between 1 foot and 1 foot 8 inches high. The highest high jump ever recorded was 8 feet 0.45 inches. The length of an average person's jump is anywhere from 5 feet 7.5 inches to 7 feet 6.5 inches. The longest long jump ever recorded was 29 feet 4.36 inches. In a 4x100 relay race, each team has 4 runners and the teams compete against one another. Each runner runs a 100-meter sprint before passing the baton to the next teammate. And that is the end of our book about Jesse Owens. So I hope that inspires you to maybe try running or maybe some other Olympic events. And that's it for this week's Sunday Night Read Aloud, and we'll see you again soon. Take care.